click, buy, deliver. With remote purchasing from the 2-time Motorcycle News Dealer of the Year, Colchester Kawasaki. Proud sponsors of Chasin the Racing.
3, 2, 1, and welcome back to Chasin the Racing, episode 121. And we're delighted to be joined by fellow Geordie. And so, where do we start with the titles? I think the first one's the Great North Air Ambulance paramedic. We've also got the BSB Critical Care paramedic, as well as I know you've got a few other jobs, but we'll leave it there. But welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having us. It's good to hear you say your catchphrase 3, 2, 1. Brilliant.
Can you 121 episodes?
Yeah.
How many we got left? Let's face it.
Well, this is it, isn't it?
This is it. We're actually going to pack
this
in
is the
after
pinnacle.
This is it. We have massively peaked. So let's just get started. I'm over the moon. You're not a doctor. All the way here, right? I generally, like Chrissy, it was even on the Patreon page. You're like, we've got a doctor coming on. And I'm thinking, how you can? Every doctor I've ever spoken to is boring.
Yeah, their banter's
and you're
not
like,
very good.
There's no banter, you can't talk. Slava, you can't talk. Now, and I'm thinking, thank God you're a paramedic.
Yeah, I work with about 30 doctors at the air ambulance. We have 14 paramedics and about, I think it's actually 25 doctors we have at the minute. And none of them have got any banter. So, I'll get some grief for that, I'm sure.
Obviously, the link to the shows, I know you through the BSB, and obviously we'll talk about the work that you do in the course car and the emergency care that you do with BSB. But just give us a quick rundown of all your jobs that you do.
Yeah, so I'm a critical care paramedic for the Great North Air Ambulance. I'm a medic for the British Superbikes. I usually work in either one of the medical cars or in the chase car. I also am a module tutor for the Royal College of Surgeons, and I also work for Rams Adventures, which is a motorbike adventure company. They do tours in sort of Southeast Asia, where I'm the medic on a motorbike for a couple of weeks touring around. Mm-hmm. So some glorious parts of the world.
You're a busy medic.
I try to be, yeah. Life's short, you've got to do as much as you can while you can, haven't you?
And as well as the BSB as well, I know you do MotoGP and World Superbikes when it's here.
Yeah. I did Silverstone. I was in chase car at Silverstone for the MotoGP, which is an experience.
But that's a hell of a buzz, like.
Yeah, it's pretty special. The drivers of the chase car have just got no vehicle sympathy. They just hammer it around the track after the bikes, making sure I'm trying to do their best to make the medics sick in the back, I think. But no, it was really, really good. Last British Grand Prix for Valentino Rossi, and you're on the grid with him, it's a pretty special thing to be, isn't it?
Was a part of you hoping he'd fall off?
No, I was saying this.
See how professionally turned there Chrissy goes, say no. Say, you can see his eyes say no. Come on, a little.
I was saying to Chrissy, like, what you don't, what you hope for is a safe weekend every weekend, because we all do it because we love racing. We love being part of something pretty special, which is the British Superbikes or the MotoGP. It's a privilege that not many people get. But if someone was to fall off, you've got to have the confidence to know that you're going to, whatever you come across, make the situation better for them. And if it happened to be Valentino Rossi, well, then that's who it was.
Quick selfie, your legs hanging off. But they are, son, right? They are. Just smile, Rossi, for God's sake.
To be fair, there wasn't that many crashes at the MotoGP.
No, it was pretty safe. Good round, good weekend.
Did you get to sort of work on anybody?
No, just enjoyed the weekend racing. To be honest, from front row seats, it was brilliant. It was really good.
Okay, he got a front row seat. What about you? You actually ventured down there, didn't you?
I went down just because we were at Anglesey for the last podcast that we did was recorded on the Saturday.
We're in time travelling mode,
I got up early on the Sunday morning and travelled from Anglesey down to Silverstone, and to be honest, the only reason that I went down was because it was Rossi's last British Grand Prix. Aside from that, I wouldn't have been. I wouldn't have been desperate to make I don't know how many miles. I probably did like 500 mile that day, or maybe more. But yeah, I was pleased to pop down to see Rossi's last Grand Prix, and it was a sort of nice atmosphere, especially at the end of the race when he pulled up and sort of it almost felt a bit emotional, like a sort of farewell. But
it was a nice touch, wasn't it, with the Grazie Valley on the tarmac?
Yeah, and he had a big stand at turn 1, and all around the fans, there was just yellow. It was a sea of yellow, and I think they said there was 67,000 there, which I was surprised. It seemed like more when you're on your trackside.
Was there a COVID limit on that?
Well, I think there must be, because they said it was sold out, but sold out for Formula One is 140,000, isn't it?
So I didn't really get why the limit is to 60.
It wouldn't surprise me if it was probably Dorna maybe that I put that on, but I don't know.
But aside from that, I've got to say, I've been to a few Grand Prix at Donington over the years, and for me, Silverstone just doesn't cut the mustard as a spectator. I was watching it down at Beckett's, and although it was like as good grandstand seats as you can get in the, you can see all through Maggots Beckett's onto the Hanger Straight. Then you also see them when they come back to the wing. You've got the TV. It's the sort of, one of the best seats in the house, but you're that far away from the track. It's for me, the joy of going to a Grand Prix is those are the best bikes and the best riders in the world, and to get to sort of feel the noise, the speed, the smell, and it's, to me, it was,
you're miles away, aren't you?
You were miles away, and it's because
you were.
Like,
I was on the grid.
I'm looking
from right behind them. There, it was amazing.
I wish I could have swapped, but. From if you're watching the Formula One there, like say turn 1 at Silverstone's flat in a Formula One car, so even though to me Formula One isn't an amazing spectacle, to see an engineering going, like a piece of engineering going that fast, it's almost like defying gravity. That's impressive. So maybe not the overtaking that we get with bike racing, but it's sort of impressive to see cars going around corners at like 180 mile an hour. The Formula One bikes are lapping 30 seconds a lap slower than Formula One cars. So it doesn't
unbelievable amount of time, isn't it?
Oh, massive. It doesn't look that fast when you're trackside, and when it's the best riders and the best bikes in the world, to me it doesn't do it justice. Where if you sat on the top of Carina curves and you're seeing the bikes coming down the top of Carina, sliding, you're much close, like up through Schwantz, you feel like you're almost right next to the track. It's just such a better occasion.
Yeah,
all the crowd are packed in, and for me, I would love to see a return to Donington.
Here's a question for the pair of you. You can go first. If you could pick any track on the calendar, where would you put a MotoGP race? If you could pick any track. Not you.
I think for me, because obviously, you could put a MotoGP bike on Cadwell and it wouldn't do anything more than what any other bike would do at Cadwell, because they're limited by the track at Cadwell, aren't you? Massively. But then I think for me...
No, as a spectating...
I love Brands Hatch. Brands is such a good track to spectate.
I thought that must have been on the GP calendar back in the day. It
was on World Supers, wasn't it?
For years, yeah, but it's, in terms of safety, you would have to say it's not as safe as Donington.
Donington's a great one. I was at the last MotoGP at Donington. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
The atmosphere was just mega.
I've got to say, credit where credit's due as well. Since MSVR took over Donington, the track in terms of facilities is just...
They know how to do tracks, don't they?
Yeah, they've stepped it up such a massive amount. Garage 39 at the bottom, making that into a cafe, and it's like as cool as you can get with a Formula One car. The food's good. All the facilities are brilliant. All re-tarmacked, electric. All the grass in the middle that used to be like a bit of a bomb site. It's perfectly cut grass. It's ready for
it's a bike track as well, isn't it?
Is it going to go back?
I don't know. I'm not sure, because there was that thing where Circuit of Wales had the lease for years, and then I don't know where it's at. I'm not sure.
I think they struggled with funding, didn't they, or something?
Probably.
And then they tried a Circuit of Ireland.
Yeah, there's been a few of them. But and another thing for the Grand Prix, its cheapest entry ticket for Sunday was 95 quid, which I think is quite steep. But on top of that...
Look at him just smiling, going, I get paid to be there.
I work for a charity. 95 quid is a lot of money.
On top of that, the car parking, 35 quid.
Jesus,
35 quid to park your car. I think that's taken... You basically got them by the balls, and then 35 quid. Even I would say £10 or £15 taking the biscuit. 35 is through the roof. And I was very fortunate to get a ticket from a friend, but when I turned up...
son, did you have to go? But I'm changing my career.
Yeah, when I,
is that Chrissy from the podcast? Oh yeah, got a ticket for you.
Rolling in the cheddar, that boy.
Perks of the pod.
cheddar.
But anyway,
Perks of the pod. Oh,
when
there's my ticket.
when I went to get there, you couldn't buy a parking ticket because it was sold out. So I'm expecting a fine, which will be 55 quid. So yeah, I thought that was taking the mick a little bit.
I love this. The amount of listeners who have paid over the 100, over the 30, and you're
Grandstand-
whinging about a 55 ticket.
Grandstand tickets were 100. Well, I just think, if it was a family, like let's say if it was a family of 5, so like say my mum, dad, and me and my 2 sisters went. That is an unbelievably expensive day out. If you're getting grandstand tickets, it's like 150 quid.
Should have added camping in as well. I think it was about 70 quid per head, not per plot. I think it was 70 quid a head, and I think you paid for.
And they had 67,000 people sold out.
And that was per head per night.
Mm-hmm. And on top of that as well, the
so they've made some money.
Come
you
road
can't-
racing, you don't pay now.
You can't really get any food or anything for less than like a tenner. I don't drink alcohol, but I know alcohol prices were like through the roof there. It to me it was there was and to be honest, to be perfectly honest, I don't think Silverstone gets the best out of the race, and it was a bit of a parade. And in all honesty, the races were average at best, to be honest.
This is what makes the sort of British Superbike series and the support races probably the best for me. You've got Worlds, obviously, which is now getting a bit spiced up with, Top Rack, Red and Johnny Ray, but MotoGP's kind of lost its way a little bit, and I think what they've done with the British Superbikes and the support races has just made it the best one to watch.
Definitely, yeah.
You get so much more for your money going to because the schedule's so tightly packed throughout the day. There's so much good racing in all the classes. It's.
I've got to be honest. One of my my favourite parts of the day was pulling into the circuit and all the we're stuck in traffic and all the bikers come through and seeing there was loads of people with like the girlfriends, the wives, and the kids on the back
who didn't want to be there
and flying
not
through.
all on the same bike either.
Yeah, all on like leathered up and like there was revving the engines and stuff. And I thought it's great to see like a community of bikers together. But for me, get it back to Donington and it'll be 10 times better. One positive, which I've got to say was this was the best thing I've ever seen coming out of a racetrack. They closed all of the roads coming in, like heading towards Silverstone. So pulling out of Silverstone, there's 67,000 people there. And literally not one bit of traffic to get back to the M1.
I hit no traffic getting out.
It was unbelievable. So
superb.
I've got credit where credit's due. The road management is top notch. The rest of it wasn't too good.
I don't know. I had a great view. I had a great time.
I bet. And
I was going to say, you haven't even answered the question. You went Brands Hatch. If you're going to put a MotoGP track,
for me, Donington.
literally, you're sold on Donington.
Yeah, I think the racing's great there. I think it's got a bit of everything: fast flowing, undulating. It's got the hairpins. Some of the I don't know if it's just because I remember watching Rossi there as a kid and it was mint, but I think it needs to go back to Donington.
For me personally, Three Sisters.
I thought he was going to say Scarborough.
Oh yeah.
Imagine that. That would.
Would
be hellish.
Obviously, you touched on World Superbikes. We've got loads of juicy gossip about that. But just before we get into that, let's just talk about you for a little bit. And because you've got this unique experience of having a paramedic who works at the race and on the show. What was your steps to getting into that?
Yeah, I mean, I starting off at the beginning, I sort of kind of fell into being a paramedic. My dad was in the fire brigade, and I kind of didn't really think I was smart enough to go to university, so I didn't, and I just got a job. And then I thought, well, I need to actually do something when I turned 21. So I thought,
take a drink.
Yeah, mate. Yeah. So I applied for the 3 emergency services, but the fire brigade weren't recruiting. So I applied for the police. They never got back, and then I applied for the ambulance service.
You're far too nice to be a copper.
And then I got onto the patient transport service, where you're sort of taking, people to their appointments, and that was great fun. That was. I had a trip to where I was taking people to one of the local units, and I had all of these people singing Bladen Races on the back of me bus going to hospital. It was superb. And then got onto the emergency side through that, and through a guy called Ian Ems, who did my advanced driver training. He worked at Croft, so I got on with him, got into working at Croft. My dad's had bikes all my life, and I had one at the time.
What was that then?
My bike?
Yeah.
I had at the time, well, my first bike was an SV650, which I had 3 months and threw under a Mercedes. My second one was a ZX.
Was that the shining light thing?
Yeah, I didn't even have any pictures of it. I can't.
You're joking.
I didn't have it long enough. Then I had a ZXR 400 with the Hoover tubes in black and pink because it was all I could afford after I'd binned my first bike. And then I got my favourite bike I've had was the last of the carburettor Model R6s.
Ooh.
It was mint. I turned that into a track bike, but I loved that bike.
So
I had that at the time.
I was about to say, so you like did you start racing or
no? Just the odd track day here and there.
Was this while you were training to be a paramedic as well?
No, it was a bit after that.
It was after that, right?
Yeah, I think because I got into the track stuff with working at Croft, then I met Heike, who's the CMO at Croft. She's the CMO for the BSB.
CMO, let's take this abbreviation.
Chief Medical Officer,
there we
sorry. So she runs the medical cover for the British Superbikes. Get on great with Heike, and from there sort of got on into the British Superbike paddock. And that kind of, because of the kind of stuff you see and the stuff you do with motorsport, that kind of almost padded out my CV a little bit to get onto from rapid response on the ambulance service to go into the hazardous response team for the ambulance service, which deals with specializes in trauma. It does your safe working at height stuff, your confined space rescue, all of your sort of major incident type stuff. And from there I then got onto the helicopter to the Great North Air Ambulance Service. So it's been a sort of steady, but a lot of that has come from the motorbikes because of the experience it gives you. You're dealing with quite regularly significant trauma that you just don't tend to go to on the road now because vehicles and whatnot are so safe. And obviously motorbike racing is one of those last sports, those last free will to kind of do something dangerous, isn't it? Yeah. And it just, obviously, you just kind of gain experience through that. So
listeners that who actually want to become a paramedic, what time period are we talking through, training?
I mean, it's changed a lot now because now you're sort of doing it straight from university. So you're doing 3 years at university and coming out at sort of 21 with your paramedic license, whereas your paramedic registration.
So can I dull it down a bit, like an apprenticeship scheme? Is that still an option for people? Or
in some services, yeah, where you can do 2 years apprenticeship with an ambulance service essentially and come out as a paramedic, but you won't come out with a degree. You'll come out with a paramedic qualification.
So to be at your level, you need degrees.
It's getting that way now. A lot of the services, the air ambulances around the country now are asking for sort of master's level, which I sort of got a couple of years ago. But I'd already been working at the air ambulance by that point.
I was about to say, because you can't put a price on experience, can you?
No, and this is exactly it. And I think a lot of that, the way the training's going now, we're kind of losing that sort of experience, sort of learning. So it's interesting because it's going a lot more like the way nursing is now, where you do your 3 years at uni with placements scattered throughout that. Whereas I sort of came up doing patient transport and just learning how to talk to patients and then sort of gone up through that way, but there is still ways to do that.
We often talk about getting a sense of meaning from your life and your job and I guess turning up on a race day and it's almost the uncertainty of what you're going to see, but it's pretty likely that you're going to see something traumatic, especially if you took over a season.
Yeah,
you must get a hell of a sense of duty, but a sense of job satisfaction. The potential to save lives and to make a big difference.
Yeah, I mean, like you say, fortunately again with the likes of helmet sort of leathers now, the technology in them is just unbelievable, and riding on tracks now, you've got particularly like Silverstone, you'll slide. You're more likely to get burns from sliding than anything else. Mm-hmm. We all get into the working for the British Superbikes as the medical team because we all love bike racing. Primarily, that's why we all do it. And when you're part of that medical team, you're part of that paddock. And it's nice to sort of seen you come up through the classes, Chrissy, riding, at the front of them as you come up, and then becoming sort of stock champion. And it's nice to sort of be there as a medic to give you guys the confidence to know that you can go like balls out, full throttle, knowing that you've got the experience of a really, really good medical team. That should it go wrong, thankfully, it hasn't, and quite regularly it doesn't. Then you've got the support there to make a difference to your outcome.
See, now unfortunately, I've actually been on the operating table a couple of times in a few crashes, which has been devastating. And the first thing you really scream when you come round is, "Don't cut me levers!" And I generally, looking at you, I generally
I'm
think
a motorbiker as well, so I do know that.
I was about to say, because I'll tell you what, I remember like Castle Group, I bust me back, made a right mess of myself, and this is couple of years ago, and this woman was there primed, licking her lips, tearing up, going, "I'm going to cut his levers, I'm going to cut his lever," and I'm there in the neck brace going, "Don't cut me levers, don't." And this woman was like, her moment was there.
So did you have surgery on your back, did you?
No, just broke the thing.
I mean, it's one of those things, isn't it?
6'2".
Do me best not to cut your leathers, but if you're talking sort of like potential spinal injury, the last thing we want to do is move you. So you're just going to like get the scissors out. Sorry, mate.
Oh God, no! I know. Absolutely devastating.
It must be a hell of an adrenaline buzz, like going off behind a race.
Yeah,
and knowing, like you're on gut, like anything can happen, and it's such a dangerous activity that you're watching in front of you, just waiting to jump, spring into action.
And it's different for different races. You look at the super stock, and there's regularly sort of 40 bikes, the stock 6s or the stock 1000s. And you're there in a car behind thinking, right, there's 40 lunatics in front of me wanting that one piece of tarmac into the first corner.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't fit. So you just you can't help but you're sort of almost mentally preparing yourself for what may happen. All really good riders, thankfully, and in the British Superbike, I mean, and all of the classes leading up to that, you don't just get into those classes. You've done a fair bit of an apprenticeship usually before you get into them. So they're all really experienced, even the junior classes. But then that brings in another element. You've actually got kids here racing around bikes. You can't help but deal with them the same, but they are different. They're different sizes of equipment that you need, but you've got sort of 40 bike riders, and when you're a chase car, you don't have the time to, when I'm in my day job, you have time to process and mentally prepare for what you're going to, because there's maybe the job comes in, you've maybe got an 8-minute flight, 4 minutes to lift, so you've maybe got nearly 15 minutes really before you get on scene to go, right, I've got a 12-year-old, this is my calculations for a paediatric of that age or size. This is the injuries I'm expecting from what's going on. When you've got 40 bikes in front of you, one goes down, takes 4 others down, and you're right on top of the incident. You don't have that time to mentally prepare. So you need to kind of give yourself that time. So
I've got to ask, and I'm trying to think of the best way to structure it. Like, now, how long have you been working at BSB alone? Just BSB?
12 years.
12 years.
Yeah.
Now, you can imagine, like you said, you've been following Chrissy throughout his career, and like a lot of other competitors, does that make your job harder, being theoretically more emotionally attached?
A little bit. I mean, a little bit at times, but I think it almost motivates you a little bit to do more, to be that person who can make a difference, because you're invested in, like, working for the British Superbikes and being part of that paddock. You feel invested in all of the riders that are there because you give a shit, you care.
Yeah.
So I think for me, and to be honest, when something happens, it almost just like a switch flicks and you're just professional and you do what needs to be done at that point. When you go to the chase car, which is probably one of the most difficult roles, because you've potentially got, if one goes down in the first lap, it's not usually one, it's 2, 3, 4 more. And you've got no time to prepare yourself for what you're going to, and you're the only medic there. Granted, there's a medic on each corner as well. So you've got to sort of quickly triage. And there's one of the medics that I sort of learnt from was a guy called Paul Burnage, who doesn't do it anymore. He always said to us, when you're on chase, park a few meters back, so maybe park 20-30 yards back in the chase car, and have a sort of slow jog to the scene. It gives you a time to count the bikes, count the riders, does the number match, assess the triage, the different riders that are there, he's up and walking, he's lying down, he doesn't seem to be moving, he's holding his leg. It gives you that opportunity to size up the scene and assess what you're going to do first.
Is it? Wow. Am I right in saying, so if that is the case, say 3 were down, if one was clearly in pain, and there was one that was not making any noise, is it? It'll be a good thing if they're in pain, type of thing.
You're not picking them by bike manufacturer. Like I'm for Yamahas. He's a Kawasaki. I'll leave him
for the minute, mate. So
the emergency would be.
It depends, because obviously someone could be quiet because they're unconscious, or they could be quiet because they're collecting themselves. Yeah. The other thing when you work, shit. Well, exactly. You all have that moment, don't you?
It's almost impossible as you're running to know exactly which is the more serious, isn't it?
I high-sided it clearways on a track day, and I sat there going,
winded.
No, I'm all right. I'm okay. But you have that moment where you're just kind of stationary, don't you? You're just like,
imagine you rolling over, seeing someone jog towards you, be like, wait, run!
I know.
Smoking a cigarette, assessing.
Like I say, it's different if there's one rider down, you just want to get there.
Yes.
But when there's a few, you need to almost have that sort of condor moment where you're just like, hold on, pause, take in what's going on, to just improve your sort of situational awareness and move forward, rather than just running to multiple and not doing anything. You need to be quite calm and collected and
obviously
methodical.
In that situation, it's a very traumatic experience that most people would never, like, not in your line of work, most people wouldn't sort of ever deal with, or hopefully never deal with or come into contact with. Do you just deal from experience? Do you, a little bit like the race, and do you just learn how to sort of channel your emotions so you stay?
I think a lot of that, and that's different again at the superbikes, because there is sort of added pressure there because there's thousands of fans. There's TV. Granted, they never really show you on the TV when you're doing medical care. Eurosport tend to be really good with that, and the sort of British Superbike sort of organisation, MSV, are brilliant at managing those sort of situations. But when I did a bit of a research, like not long ago, the last sort of normal year pre-COVID was 2019. There was 25,900 RTCs, that's people sustained major trauma in, and there's 25,500 paramedics in the UK, which means your average paramedic is seeing just over 1 major trauma per year. So it's difficult to get really good at it unless you're doing other bits and pieces. So it's a bit different for me, because obviously I work on the air ambulance, which means I go to a lot of that sort of stuff. But the British Superbikes also brings your experience up quite considerably. So they tend to get a lot more experience from that to sort of stay calm. We always chat through our jobs and the approach afterwards, and the likes of the sort of significant accidents that we've had recently, like Brad Ray and whatnot. Brad Jones. We all chatted through afterwards what went well and how can we move forward. So
you were on the scene with Brad Jones.
There's obviously the structure, the medical structure that we have at the Superbikes. We've got 3 medical cars with the more experienced medics on. I was on one of those with another lad called Mark Hodkinson, who's a helicopter emergency medical service paramedic down in Thames Valley. Really smart, good guy. And then you've got a paramedic or doctor on each corner, and then you've got a full medical centre equipped with an anaesthetist and other medical specialities, nurses and physiotherapists, and so you've got a resource there that is probably better than any motorsport, or up there with any motorsport
absolutely world
in the
class.
world. Yeah, it really is. There's some absolute brilliant clinicians that work at that team. And
I can vouch for that.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
Yeah,
but hey, I've just got to say, well done and thank you, for Brad.
Well,
for the whole you and the team.
It's a whole team
massively,
approach, really. It really is, and but you've kind of got to learn to sort of, you gain that experience, and you learn to sort of be methodical and keep that. I think, like any medic will tell you, particularly the pre-hospital medics will sort of say, like, you've just got to stay calm, and when that incident happens, you'll be surprised how it just kicks in, and you just crack on with what needs to be done. It's quite a sort of structure that we all sort of adopt and do, and yeah, I mean, it's something pretty special to be part of, to be honest. The British Superbike medical team, you look at the statements that have been sort of published from Brad Jones, and you just think that's, we've helped someone there significantly. If that type of incident had happened on a track day or something, it just doesn't bear thinking about,
It must be a fabulous sense of, well, just a fabulous feeling, when you see the likes of Brad Jones or other riders that have had, serious incidents that you've been a part of, and then when they come back, to visit, whether it's the next year or the year after or whatever, and it's for that person, it's the most significant moment of their life, and to sort of play a crucial part in that must be, you must get a hell of a sense of job satisfaction from that.
100%. I mean, that's the same with my sort of day job. We're in a very, very privileged position that not many people have. You meet someone on their worst day of their life, and you have the opportunity to make it a bit better. It's not many people get the opportunity to do that, so we're all quite fortunate. And sometimes it's really tough, but sometimes there's those stories like so how Brad Jones is getting on is, it's really encouraging. And
I was about to say, what is the update on Brad at the moment, to date?
So the latest, this podcast will be going out in like over a week's time. So
so obviously it could change from
by the time this goes out, there might be an updated one. But the latest one was that he's left the King's College Hospital in London back home, and is sort of like breathing without any assistance, and he's going to be getting treatment from home. So sending our best wishes to Brad.
Absolutely.
And I've seen a few things on social media where he's I know Wilf had a thing on about he'd either replied to him or he'd like read his message or something, and he's definitely making very good progress. So from us all, really sending our best wishes.
Absolutely.
As well. And I look forward
to
that.
I wouldn't care the day before that incident. I always take my bike to the superbikes so I can, because the tarmac's unbelievable. I'm a roadie as well as a mountain biker, but I always do a couple of laps on an evening. I'll check my Strava segments, and I was just behind Brad Jones on them. He is fast, man. He's fast on a push bike, that boy.
Yeah, and I know Brad does a lot of he lives and does a lot of training with Scott Redden and Fraser Rogers, and Scott and Fraser have done an unbelievable job of raising awareness, raising money, and there's if anyone else is wanting to make a donation, if you go over to either of their social medias, there's a Just Given page, I believe, and or a GoFundMe page for Brad's treatment.
Fantastic. It's like bringing the whole, it's really from an awful event like that, it's really brought the community of the paddock together and all of motorsport, hasn't it? And to see the outcome, him getting better, and it's brilliant. And like you say, echo what you said there, just wish him a speedy recovery and hope to see him on that push bike soon and try and get in his toe.
Sorry, before we move on from this, you're talking about, in the air ambulance every day, you're meeting someone on the worst day of their lives. I've got some mates who are paramedics, and they've decided to leave. They haven't gone into the motorsport segment of it, and you know what? They've had some right shitty stories. I mean, like people screaming. You see them on nights out, man. People like screaming at paramedics, like busting up like ambulances and stuff like that. And you think, what's wrong with people, man? And you must have experienced that coming through it.
I did sort of 2 years on a double manned ambulance and 2 years on rapid response, And
is that in the area?
In the northeast, yeah. So I was based in Chester, Weardale initially, then Chesley Street, Stanley.
That's a bit of an extreme.
Yeah,
Weardale.
I think they were struggling to get people to be based up at Weardale because it was so far to travel. So they just put the newbie up there. But it was great because I got the chance to do all my uni work and stuff. It was a bit quieter. But it's worse now than when I was on the road. Obviously, you know, it's like everywhere, like violent crime is just massively increasing and just increasing the workload, and they've got it really hard now on the road. They are battered for 12 hours on the road on an ambulance now. It's a really tough job.
This is such another hard question to answer, but if you could put a pin on it, why on God's green earth has it become violent and dangerous, borderline dangerous to be a paramedic or fire service or police?
I don't know.
Police give you speeding tickets.
A lot of it's like alcohol as well. But I mean, I was a happy drunk. I always came home skint because I'd bought everyone a drink. But people aren't like that anymore.
We're going for alcohol for a drink. Yeah, no bother.
It must be very difficult to sort of compartmentalize. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
God, that's a big, just because there's a paramedic.
I was going to say you're the teacher.
It must be difficult to compartmentalize work from normal life. You know, seeing such and being involved with like say a normal job where you go and like it's almost insignificant. Where having something so meaningful and sort of traumatic at times. Do you find it difficult to switch off?
I think there's everyone has different coping mechanisms for stuff like that. For me,
vodka.
Yeah. I'm not. I might be from the northeast, but I'm not an alcoholic. No. For me, it's about having the like a good relationship with your colleagues and being able to be honest and open. It's about culture, really, about being able to go, that job, what did you think? I didn't think it went well. I thought I could have done better at this. I could have done better at that. And then going, right, well, let's take that forward into the next one. But actually, you did this really well. I never thought about doing it like that. And you take the wins where they are. Some of the wins are really small, but you can learn from a lot of the stuff you do. But you need to remember that, everything you're doing, you're in a really difficult situation. You're doing everything in that moment to the best of your ability. And sometimes circumstances and injuries are, unsurvivable, and it's really, really difficult. But you've got to take the wins where you can get them. I think in this job,
you've done your best.
That's where you take it. You take the positives from knowing that you've done everything that could be done for that person, rather than.
I'm not having a go here at all, far from it, but how much staff turnover do you see in your job? I mean, people do think, I want to go do that for a living, and then they jump in the deep end and go, you know what?
I think,
it's not for me, which is fair enough, until you see these things, yeah.
I think I'm quite lucky. I'm when you get to the sort of air ambulance, you kind of, when it comes to, you're a certain level of experience anyway, and those people are just we're all quite like-minded with regards to our outlook and what we're trying to do. I think
you're on the premiership of like ambulance, aren't you? You know what I mean? It's
hovering around relegation like Newcastle. But I think on the road, it's like on the ambulances now, it's just a really, really tough job,
Yeah, and I guess this could go both ways, but sort of seeing what you see on a daily basis in your general outlook on life, you could sort of go two ways. You could think that you could see some serious things and think, I'm more risk averse because I don't want this to happen to me, or you could kind of think life can be gone, or some live for today and to get the best out of it.
It's interesting because you do have thoughts like that quite regularly. I do like a bit of downhill mountain biking, and I've got a track bike. I've just bought a Triumph 675.
I think that answers the question.
But,
I was about to say, he's a bad example of this question. A regular paramedic, it would be a lovely, deep, philosophical version of this. It's like I bought an SV 650, stocked it under a Mercedes. I like helicopters.
They're super stiff.
Yeah, I'm sorry, do you actually get at work, in a helicopter? I'm in a helicopter,
Yeah.
I'm in a helicopter.
Well, we fly over the best part of the country as well, don't we? The northeast.
What, do you avoid Sunderland?
Yeah, yeah. Not always the best part of the country.
Do you think along those lines? And
yeah, you do, and I think you'd be mad not to. Like, you go to, been to stuff where, like, motocross incident where it's been nothing specifically. He's just landed funny, and now he can't feel anything below his waist, and you just think, I've had a bigger crash than that on my mountain bike, and I've just been lucky. It can happen, but I mean, I think if you lived every day thinking about what could happen, you'd end up missing out on everything that you can do and achieve. And
you can tell from speaking to you and your Instagram, you can tell you're a doer. And, like, I think it's very much in the bike racing community. I think paddock fans, people who are into bikes tend to be sort of get up and go people, and like sort of take life by the
absolutely
by the scruff of its neck.
And that's the same with the BSB Medical team. The people who I go track day with are the BSB medics. So we're all kind of like-minded and a similar sort of outlook.
The crack always looks good in the bar and on the campsite, and that it's a proper community in it, the medics, and it's a great for people that are medics but maybe just in hospitals and stuff that might want to get into it. Is there a contact or like
so if you go to sort of bsbmedical.co.uk, you need to be sort of either qualified paramedic, doctor, nurse or physio, or radiographer, because we do our own x-rays and stuff there, with a couple of years experience.
Shout out to Ruth.
Shout out to Ruth, yeah.
There's a few Geordies in the team. I was once knocked out.
It says a lot about our region, doesn't it?
I was once knocked out at Caddo, and I was lying under a barrier, and when you're just starting to come round, and you're like, you're waking up, but you're not sure like if you're gonna wake up and you're in your bed, or you're not sure where you are.
No, I don't know, Chrissy.
All I could hear was, "Are you alright, pet?" And I was thinking, where on earth and then they pulled the barriers up, and I was under the barrier, and it was a young female Geordie.
Yeah.
And I think I'm pretty sure you've rescued us at Thruxton once when I ran into the back of Danny Buchan, I was well lucky because there's pictures of the in sequence, and my left arm goes. So my chin was stuck on his rear tyre, and my left arm was between his seat unit and his rear wheel, so like near the shock. And when I look at it and I think how lucky I was not to get my arm trapped, I would have lost my arm like if it went through the wheel or whatever. And I had a big burn on the bottom of my thing where it was rubbing off a slick tyre at like 100 degrees. And you picked us up from that, but that's
Thruxton, I don't know how you ride bikes around there. That place is insane.
You literally though, I felt like I hit the ground, and by the time I'd stopped tumbling, I looked up and it was you. They're like there straight away. Like so, it's proper.
Sorry,
instant,
man.
I was very grateful.
See, now that you said Thruxton and you kind of had a shiver down your spine, what's the one meeting that you think, whoa, what's that one track that you work at? You think, here we go. What's that biggest deep breath track for you?
I don't know. I think anywhere Thruxton's really quick, but tends to be a fair bit of runoff, doesn't there?
Yeah.
But if it goes wrong at Thruxton, it's usually quite
fast.
big, isn't it? I think anywhere it's close. So you look at Alton Park. Like there's a couple of blind bits at Alton Park that are really close to barriers. Cadwell. Yeah.
Alton and Cadwell are the two most dangerous circuits.
Yeah.
Sorry, my perspective's a little off, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean,
Off,
I think your perspective on danger is probably a little bit off as well.
It's a little bit. Have you ever done roads then? Have you ever thought about doing roads?
I thought about it. I do. I tend to, because the Isle of Man's it's a holiday, isn't it? Like, do you know what I mean? You go over there to watch and enjoy.
If you were working,
I think the Isle of Man, because the Medcare over there, you're so spread out, aren't you? I mean, I'd quite happily work on a helicopter over there, but I think whenever I go over there, I just want to enjoy the week away, watching, having a few beers. Last time I went over there a couple of years ago, me and one of the mechanics for R4R, racing the junior stocks. We both went over. We took our bikes over in the van, And 3 days in, we just put our bikes back in the van. It's going to end up being part of someone else's accident. It's mental over there on the bikes now.
Crazy.
People actually don't realise how like it is dangerous as spectators wise. It's so
Yeah,
it's naughty. Like it is naughty.
Just so on wrapping up the topic of like your career and what you do, is the one moment that stands out that in terms of like maybe you've been involved with saving somebody and then they've like you've bumped into them at a random place, or like a moment that's like sort of made you really feel.
There was an incident with John Crockford a few years back. A lovely family, and he had a huge accident at Brands, really nasty injuries, and I was at the top of Paddock Hill, and he'd crashed on start at the end of start finish, and I'd just seen this huge explosion and heard it, and you're just kind of like, you can't help but think, holy shit, like. So I just started sort of like,
jogging.
Well, actually, it was so far away. I sprinted and still had plenty of time to sort of collect my thoughts about what was going on. And the difference when you're on the air ambulance, you have that sort of 15 minutes before you get there. So the patient is either already deteriorated significantly beforehand or calmed down and is sort of as the picture is what you see it. When it happens in front of you, you can see the deterioration rapidly. And I remember sort of, there's a doc I was working who came round just after I'd got to him. And you just seen him go from being relatively normal in front of your eyes to then just like, he's really poorly here. And like I said, if that accident had happened anywhere else, like, and you know, now he's standing watching his son race, and he's such a lovely family, and it was just like the reason why you do it, you know. But it was a whole team just pulled together to, you know, ensure that the outcome was favourable for him, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever missed a meeting?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know whether the problem is I work full time, so.
Oh no, that's what I mean. I'm just me. It'd be interesting because if you went to watch now, can you go watch a BSB?
So I went to Cadwell just for this because I was working on my day job Friday, Saturday. So I went to Cadwell on the Sunday to watch, and I just helped out. Went down to R4R and watched some of the racing with those lads, and it was just it was nice actually to just chill out and
be on the other side of the fence.
On the other side of the fence. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
I was about to say, but then if like it's just interesting because the thing is to be in your line of work, you have to be beyond passionate and caring. You simply, you know, you don't go through those traumas yourself to help other people without having that passion to do it. And if you're on the side of the track and you saw an accident, you know, that'll be, you know, it'll be that must be difficult. This like, gee, like you just jump the fence.
Like I said before, it's a team approach.
Yes.
Like, and you know, I trust those people. Like,
there we are. Yeah,
they're all experienced paramedics, doctors on the side of the track and in the med centre that will deal with whatever comes their way. That's a good thing.
That is proper trust, isn't it? It is. No, it's nice to hear that. It really is.
And I'm stealing one of the Patreon questions, but I remember
give them the credit then.
I remember reading it. I'll have to find out who said it. But do you know the Stuart Easton? Did you listen to the Stuart Easton pod about the Special K? Well, there's a funny.
I have to watch.
Yeah, there's a funny story to do with basically Hutchie had told him that if you ever if you ever screwed from a crash, when the medics get there, ask for Special K. And
don't ruin it. You have to go watch it. There'll be listeners listening.
Part of the question. So he asks for Special K I won't spoil the things, but you'll have to listen to it. Have you ever had anybody ask for anything like really odd or weird when you've first got them, or said anything like really odd or weird?
No, not really. I think.
Are you single?
Yeah.
He's married.
Thankfully not.
I was about to say you're married there.
Yeah. No, not really. I think it's one of the important things to do as a medic is to gauge the situation a little bit, because when you crash, the last thing you want is someone sort of kind of all over you, kind of like talking to you when you're clearly relatively okay, a bit pissed off, and you've got to kind of like gauge the time to speak, and because the adrenaline is so high, getting actual pertinent information from someone who's hyped up, it's that fight or flight, isn't it? And so you've got to kind of like almost let the situation calm down a lot of the time before you kind of chat to them. And
someone from work coming to pick you up or something.
If only. So no, not really. I don't think.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
And also, just to wrap up on the Great North Air Ambulance, I know it runs as a charity.
Charity.
Can people just sort of go on and donate to that?
Yeah, you can go to gnaas.co.uk and donate if you're thinking about doing the Great North Run or anything this year. I think I know it's next week, but next year, like I say, it's 100% charity funded. It costs sort of 5.2 million to run the 2 aircraft per year. So it's a real struggle, particularly over COVID, to maintain that kind of fundraising. We've got an unbelievable team, fundraising team and media team behind us, just giving us the opportunity to go see those patients that need us. But it's a struggle. It's real difficult in this time, in this sort of current climate, to raise money. So anything that people can donate or do for the air ambulance, your local area. I know this goes out nationally, but if you're in the northeast and the northwest, we cover the Lake District. We cover East Coast to West Coast, sort of Yorkshire to Scotland. So it's a pretty big area, but a lot of people are vouching for that last pound in people's pockets at this time of year, and people are really struggling with COVID, and so it is just a struggle to get the fundraising. But the team we've got are unbelievable at work.
Do you land over at Birdie's place over in?
That's where we're based. Our second aircraft's based at Langwathby, where Paul Bird's team's based.
Yeah, it's it's the same where he takes off from, isn't it?
Yeah.
You ever put the wrong red top on before? You know what I mean?
I tell you what, he's
Paul Bird Motorsport saving me. Clear, boof.
A couple of years ago, I was doing a shift over there, and when Shaky was racing, and I bumped into Birdie in the hangar, and I was just chatting to him about bikes, and he was like, "Come in here and have a look at this," and he was so like
class.
He was so motivated about it all, and because he'd just gotten this swing arm from the Ducati manufacturer, and he was proper buzzing about it. It was really nice. But yeah, we're quite lucky. We have a good relationship with Mark and Paul. We have our Cumbria base based on their site.
With the Lake District inherently being for like sort of, what's the word, like adventurous sport and thing, and obviously you've got all of the hiking and there's water sport, there's loads, isn't there? So I bet you.
And I think this year, because of everyone, no one's going abroad, I think they normally have about 40 million visitors to the lakes over the year. I think they're expecting like 90 this year because of.
You can't get anywhere booked in that, can you?
Yeah, you just can't. So.
Mind for me, it's like the most beautiful part of the country. Like, I absolutely loved over there. Do you know, like, say if you can't land on a mountain, do you have to go down on a zip wire?
Yeah, so no,
Black Hawk Down style.
We don't have that on our aircraft, but we do sort of work with the search and rescue, and so we'll get if that's needed, they'll come in their aircraft, pick us up, and winch us down. But that doesn't have to happen very often, thankfully. But I did it once and inexperienced at it, but I forgot my jacket, and it is so cold underneath that downdraft in the winter. But no, it's a beautiful place to fly over.
I bet.
But I've not been over to Langwathby for a little while, so I've not had the chance to have a bump into Birdie and look round the shop. And
hey, never say never. This is the show that makes dreams come true. There you go. But I'll tell you what, before we move on to like the World Superbike crack and everything like that, come on, you've got to give us one funny story, for God's sake. It doesn't even have to be a part of the motorsport. We need some crack. We need some like proper giggles.
Put us on the spot there.
I totally have.
Yeah. I don't know.
If there's nothing that springs to mind, we're going to come back to it.
Yeah.
But, you can have a think about it.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping something happened dodgy in the
Yeah,
town.
I
Like, you know what I
couldn't-
mean? You've saved a
couldn't
woman
even-
dressed as a Smurf
Mate,
or
I
something
couldn't
like that.
even possibly due to confidentiality.
Oh,
being
you
professional.
boring
Yeah.
And
It's chasing the racing. There's nothing professional about this
I
whatsoever.
suppose no one listens to these, so
Exactly,
it's all
that's
right.
it. And no one listens to it, so you might as well tell her the story. I just hope you've saved like a bloke dressed as a nun or something like that, where a different like a party popper up his arse or something like that.
It is interesting when you're driving around on a night shift on the car in Newcastle. Some of the sights you see, it's pretty impressive. You'll know what it's like on a night down the big market in Newcastle. It's pretty spectacular.
Definitely working for the tourist board. Yes, so there you go.
Well, I tell you what, we've got a few things to go through. So there's been World Superbikes over at Magny-Cours in France. We've already done the MotoGP. There's been BSB at Snetterton at the weekend.
We haven't really talked about the Snetterton side of it.
No, not at all. And also, you were at Anglesey the week before, so that's kind of what we've got left to talk about. Do you want to start with anything in particular? Anglesey?
I tell you what, now that we've got the paramedic in front of us, I'm going to have to look for the names here. Unfortunately, Thundersport there was 2 airlifts, like down at Anglesey, and in the 600 class we've both got Michael Coxon and Brandon. I'm getting this name wrong. David Stewart, who runs part of Thundersport with Bernadette, they do a fantastic job to keep everyone up, in the loop massively. And there was an incident on the start line, but what is brilliant here, sorry, my low education and trying to read off an email is not going well. Michael Coxon and Brandon, is that McCabe?
Okay, yeah.
Oh, thank God for that. They put at the time, this was updated a few days ago. Both currently in Stoke University Hospital, which they airlifted direct from circuit. Both riders are now conscious and aware, and both should make a full recovery in due
that's
course.
good to
So
hear, isn't it?
that is brilliant because
Really good to hear.
I'm actually good mates with Michael, and I didn't know he was involved. So yes, and best wishes. Best
Right.
wishes
Yeah,
to
they're
them.
the terrifying ones, aren't they? You had was it like a stall on the grid or something? Did you have something like that where you just put the bike down, didn't you?
Yes,
I mean,
so
that is terrifying stuff. That, isn't
the
it?
start's the most.
he looks ridiculous, but he did the right thing.
Yeah.
He did 100% did the right thing.
Starts the most dangerous, definitely part of the race. Obviously, you've got all the bikes in such close proximity, and
Did you see Donington in the 300 race? Probably it's 3/4 of the way back, Lizzie Whitmore, who does that race, and there was a crash. Did the exact right thing, stalled, hand up, and the collision at the back was just unreal.
there was one in World Super Sport on the warm-up lap as they were leaving the grid, but the guy was on the second row, and he stood off his bike waving, and it was everyone missed him until he got to the right at the back, and then luckily they were both fine. But yeah, the start's very, very dangerous. Obviously there's been some fatal incidents.
Yeah, I mean, when you're in chase, or because we have medics in the pit lane as well, they're the bits where you're like, right, let's just hope everyone gets away round the first corner okay, and then it tends to be relatively okay.
It actually physically spaces out. Like I say, 40 people boxed in one bit of tarmac.
There's a video on YouTube which was, nobody got seriously injured, but it's Thundersport GB, and if you go on Thundersport GB's YouTube channel, all the videos, the best ones, get a few thousand, and then there's one video with 23 million views, and it's a start line incident at Donington Park, and it's amazing that there was no serious injuries. But yeah, like you say, it's for me, if I was a parent watching, that would be the worst part of it. And the worst part for me that weekend was I knew that I had a problem, and I had to do something like 4 race starts, knowing that it we could, and going to the grid knowing it's such a stomach churn, and it made us ill, to be honest. And when I I ended up winning that race, and so that was a good day. But I was just pleased. I was just pleased to get home safe and sound that day. Sorry, I've lost me. Back to Anglesey. We'll go through Anglesey. You were racing with DC Racing.
Yeah. So back with the DC lads, first time for a long time, which has been brilliant. It's always good. So I know the camp was split up. So you had Chris Barnes. He is the C in DC Racing. Shock horror. And then he was on the Super Twin. He was just shy of lap record pace. He was absolutely flying. And unfortunately, in the last race, our previous guest, Matt Late, Chris lost the front and Matt had to avoid him and slam on the brake, and they both crashed out. So that's match championship, and Chris was battling for the championship, so they're both gutted. They're both all right. Matt nearly became a Dominic Herbertson with missing digit, nearly, not quite good enough to cut the mustard. But Chris is a bit battered up and bruised, but no, everyone was all right on that side of things. 600, Mike Norbury, he got his personal best times down, but the weather was phenomenal. And the thing about have you ever been to Anglesey?
No, I haven't. No, it's one of those ones where it's about 6.5 hours from here, isn't it?
Aye, on Camelback, it's 8 days. It's serious, man. It's a long way away from home, but like it's one of those places that, if you get the weather, well, you were down on the Saturday, weren't you? He was just pointing out all my flaws, and he got tired, and I was that crap on the bike, he couldn't write them all down, so he went off to Silverstone. But no, and it's one of those places that the view is unreal. It's like, I've never actually been to Spain, like, period, but like the views, it must be like a European track day in it, and it was just, there was no wind, it was perfect track conditions, people smashing out lap records and all sorts. And the thing about Thundersport, it is so fast. You know what I mean? And that hasn't changed for years, has it? Which is fair enough. You know, it's always been that class where people who can't afford British, that's the truth, but have got the skill and the talent to actually be at that level, and they just can't quite afford it. And that where do they go? They go to Thundersport, and it's.
I think it definitely was like that, and I think. However, I think over the years, depends which class you're in, no limits in some respects.
No, that's the thing.
I think there's more, like, for example, I think in the 600 class, there's more, the pace at the front's probably similar, but there's more depth of field at no limits.
Yes.
And I think
that's
probably
prize money
in the thousands as well. And again, prize money in the Pirelli thing.
I don't know how you do it, like getting funds to race. It's so expensive, just your tyre bill and stuff like that. It's just...
Don't. It's a lot of trees, young'un. You ever been on a tree accident? You might see me one day.
Maybe. Did you enjoy the weekend on the 1,000?
No, yeah, it was good. It was just, I tell you what, like I've been doing like, Super Twin racing with the Cowtons, 600 racing with the Cowtons, classic racing with Davies. I've been very, I just work my bollocks off all the time to go racing. But hopping on 1,000, it just highlights how much of a different discipline that is. It's amazing. From 600 to add 400 cc's, you have to ride those things totally different. And it's really put that fire back into us to go, right, I actually need to focus on this. And I can't thank Dean and Chris and everyone at DC. That it's like a little, we call it the DC village. When everyone gets together, it's just a proper gig.
What was it you're riding for them?
A ZX10. So it was actually Danny Kent's old bike. And the mad thing is, it's learning about like infrastructure, and we're learning together to try. And it's 1,000 racing. It's not just getting a bike. You've got to get the whole package together, and we're learning that together. And yeah, no, I absolutely thoroughly enjoyed Anglesey. I was actually back down there this weekend gone as well.
I totally forgot you were going at the CRMC.
So like that played in my favour absolutely brilliantly. So like 2 weekends back to back, and you'll never guess what, we had the bloody weather again.
Honestly,
absolutely. Well, it's been this weekend. It's been absolutely scorching, not a drop of wind. I mean, it's
northwest, isn't it? Wales, Anglesey. It's like
so you go
a little island on the northwest corner.
So like just underneath Liverpool, and then you go along the top of North Wales, and then it comes to just a bridge, which it doesn't feel like you're going off onto an island because it's so close, but that if you look on a map, there's one bridge onto the island, and then it's just it's very remote, but it's such a beautiful place.
Are you still doing track days with all your busy timetable?
I stopped for a while and sold I had a hypermotard which I sold last year, but I'm not really that bothered about riding on the road anymore.
No,
once you've done it, it's just no fun. Like you're either someone's either gonna knock you off, you're gonna
lose your license.
You're gonna lose your license, which I can't do for my job. It's just not worth it. So I bought a 2009 Triumph 675.
Honestly, you got to get to Anglesey. It's one of those tracks. It's like, I know this is a bit of a cliche. It's easy to learn and to enjoy, but hard to get it right. It is a small track, but when I remember going back, I've been around there once on a classic, and I did a track day on a big bike. This is like 3-4 years ago. And went there, and I think, it's a massive lap. It's not like it's proper technical. Well, the 600s are doing the same times as the big bikes.
All right.
It's proper. No, it's brilliant. You've got bank corners. You've got like a Laguna Seca the budget version of it, but like coming down in the corkscrew in Wales, but it's outstanding as a track, and we've talked about it a few times on the show and how BSB can't get there because of access issues, but it is fantastic. It really is.
I forgot that you were doing the CRMC. How did the weekend go, like results wise?
Yeah, no, it went really well. Actually, as far as classic racing, we haven't been to a single meeting that I've broke every lap record. You include my own lap records. So same fashion again, broke the lap records, and I'm actually 350 British champion yet again. With one round left to go, and that's at hopefully Sunny Croft, where I've found out before the show got going.
Yeah, I'll be there, mate.
You're jumping in the deep end.
My dad's going to come and watch as well, actually.
Oh my God.
It'd be good to see. I love the classic bikes. I haven't been able to get to Croft or any of the classic rounds much in the last couple of years, but they're just something else, aren't they? The sound and the smell and
Have you been to a CRMC though?
No.
I tell you what, right? I'm not just saying this. Now I'm going to be blunt and very honest. The grid is split. Have you been to a CRMC yet?
Yeah, I've been to watch you a few times.
Where? Oh God, are you and Piggy staged with Mark Reynolds in the background on that one? So, but like the grid's split. You've got lads who enjoy it, and then the rest of the field. You've got people on 60 grand motorcycles. Going around, and I mean pushing ex-BSB lads and everything, man. And it is fast. It is so fast, and you're in for a shock. You really are. And I tell you what, the crack there is unreal. Yeah. I mean, there was like a 60th birthday party for Harley Russian and Kelly's dad there. So happy birthday yet again. And people were swan diving, picnic tables, smashing them, and people were doing push-ups and all sorts, like getting drunk, and it was just mint crack, man. And the racing is fantastic. You'll love it. You really will love it. But no, it's as far as that weekend went, 350 British champ again, and I'm second in the 500 air-cooled class by 7 points because I missed it for Armoy. I missed a round for Armoy, which I'm gutted about, so I'm gonna have to knock him off. So you're gonna be busy. But no, it's mint. You're gonna love it. You really are. You're probably at around October. I'm trying to think. Wait, what are the dates?
There is a suit back round that weekend.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So how are you?
I'm working day shift on my day job the other day that weekend, so I just can't make it down. I think it's Donington, actually.
Right, aye.
Oh, that's a shame.
So I'm working the Friday and the Sunday, but I'm off the Saturday, so I'm going to Croft.
So was Donington the final round for you lot? No, Brands.
We've got so Silverstone is the weekend coming, and then we've got 1 week off, and then we've got a back-to-back Oulton and Donington, and 1 week off in Brands. It's flown over this year, but by the time this podcast goes out as well, it'll be like only a few weeks till the end of the season. It's absolutely mad.
It's been so compressed, hasn't it?
Aye, and speaking of, have you got anything else to wrap up either Thundersport or CRMC?
No, just to look, we had the weather. The problem is we leave these things and you end up I didn't thank them, I didn't thank that, I didn't do this, I didn't do that, but I just, it's just good. Yeah, I can't thank everyone enough in general, so I know it was all good crack. So what do we know about BSB then?
So over at BSB, Taz McKenzie was the man of the meeting. He got a win, second and a win. And
he's honoured at the minute, isn't he?
Yeah, so he only dropped 5 points to Jason, won the race. He came second in, but yeah, he was unbelievable at the weekend.
I actually haven't watched any of it, but the powerful thing about social media is you get all the good bits concentrated, don't you? And the finishes, what is it like? There were fag paper.
Oh, there were proper like there was no team orders. They were proper getting stuck into each other, real aggressive racing between the McCams bikes. But they've made a good jump at the front of the championship. Mine, Jason's got over 100-point gap, but obviously with the showdown, that'll go just to podium credit, so it'll tighten back up. So at the moment, the championship is Jason Allen first, Taz McKenzie second, Bridewell third. Bridewell had a good meeting with 3 podiums, a second, third and a second. Christian Idden's fourth, Peter Hickman's currently fifth, Danny Buchan sixth, Glenn Irwin seventh, and Lee Jackson is currently the last of the top 8, like the showdown. The people that are still in contention, you've got Bradley Ray, Josh Brooks, Ryan Vickers and Rory Skinner. Once you get past that, bear in mind there's only 3 races to go. Andy Irwin's got a difficult job from where he is now.
Did you see Skinner's moment?
Yes, huge moment. Very lucky. He just came out the last,
I did.
last
where
corner.
He was hanging off the bike, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Was that one where he saved it?
That was
I'm surprised he didn't have 2 clip-ons in his hand crossing the line going, right, I did my best.
So that was a 5-lap sprint race, and that all stemmed from Danny Danny Buchan's bike blew up under the bridge, and then as he tipped in, it totally locked up and huge high side. I'm so pleased to see him walk away uninjured.
Did you see how he reacted when he hit the floor?
Like
that experience talk. No, but he arms immediately in. He would look like he was crashing an EasyJet flight. It was just like brace.
Do you
crash EasyJets all the time?
It's the first thing I do soon as when I do crash. Just
is that pre? Do you think about? Have you thought about that? Is that like a pre? Right, if I'm coming off,
It's a natural thing.
Is it? Right.
It's just from experience. I've hurt myself. If your limbs are out, you're easy to thing. So I like sort of just tuck in and like tuck my arms in, try and like just it's like a self-protection thing.
My personal favourite response crasher has got to be Christian Inn. He holds onto them bikes for dear lad, I think, and that lad is 100% employable 100% of the time. He really is like that, man. He holds on.
He's ripped, man. He's probably one of the only ones who could hold on to it. Like,
Jesus wept I.
Over the course of the weekend, other than sort of the main talking points were, McCann sort of dominated over the weekend. Brooks was coming on pretty strong, and after a shaky start, he's currently... Brooks could still get in the showdown. He's on 141, and currently Lee Jackson's on 154, so he hasn't got a great deal.
Imagine if Josh Brooks wins this.
Yeah,
his form. No, okay, his form is not replicating championship winning material, but this is
the showdown. Something else now, isn't it?
Do you reckon there'll be people pissed off if Josh Brooks wins it in a way? Because like you look at like what Jason has gone through. Like
I think Jason would be pissed off.
Of course he'd be pissed off. He'd be 100% pissed off. But imagine if Josh Brooks has been it'd be the sandbag of any sport. Maybe like that guy. Let's play it cool.
Well, the last six races, so Cadwell and Snetterton, he's in points wise, he's got 6, 11, 11, 13, 13, 10. So like the last 6 races from him have been strong, especially compared to the first half of the season. But yeah, if he does make the showdown, that'll be a brilliant comeback for him. And yeah, aside from that, I can't think of any big talking points from the weekend. Gino Rea, it was by far his strongest weekend, and he was really unlucky to get caught in a crash. Andy Owen had a mechanical problem and did the right thing by putting his hand up and pulled to the right, but just the way it worked, Lee Jackson almost ran into the back of him and sort of broke, and then Gino had nowhere to go. It was a complete accident, racing incident, but unfortunately Gino came off like the worst then. His bike just proper skilled, but aside from that, he had a fantastic weekend, rode really, really well.
Did Stapleford step in for Danny Kent?
Yes.
How did he get on?
Steady. Didn't really look comfortable on the bike, to be honest.
Because he came back to stock, and did he get on the podium at Thruxton?
He did fantastic at Thruxton, and then he also raced in Superstock at what was the one after Thruxton, and he struggled there at Donington, and he struggled at Donington, and then he did Superbikes this weekend. But yeah, he was very he was a fair bit off the pace and just didn't really look like he'd click.
A really difficult job, that, isn't it? Being thrown onto a bike, particularly when that's the sort of higher up your class as you go, the less likely it is that you're going to just jump on and go.
Definitely. And I tell you what, out of all of the...
Sorry, when you're talking about jumping on bikes, that's totally reminded me. Let's quickly, before we carry on with this, MotoGP, you briefly mentioned before we got on air the fact that Dixon's still keeping his ride. MotoGP, isn't it?
He's been given another round
at Aragon.
Yeah.
How did he get? I haven't seen. Mate, I haven't seen nothing. You know what I mean? It's like, how did he get on? How did he get on?
He was last by a considerable margin, but it's what you would expect. He's jumping with no testing, jumping into the top class in the world. I mean, and to be fair, his teammate was the
Valentino
next person ahead. Well. He was last by a good margin, but I think he crashed once over the weekend, a small sort of took, but aside from that, I think the general consensus was that he rode like a bit maturely and sort of
he rode smart, didn't he?
Couldn't have
he was learning. He over the weekend he got quicker and quicker. I think when you're jumping onto a MotoGP bike, I think that's probably all you can expect.
His best lap time qualifying, I think he did a 2 minutes 0.8, which is a good lap time, for just jumping straight onto a MotoGP bike. Usually, if you were say doing MotoGP properly, you have like a full winter test plan before your first race, so you get like hundreds and hundreds of laps on loads of different circuits. Almost impossible just to jump on. And again, I think it'll be the same at Aragon. He'll unless it's wet, he'll struggle.
That's what sparred it on. It's like within the Petronas camp. It's the John McPhee
John McPhee's being given Jake's ride in Moto 2 for this weekend too. So after, I mean, John McPhee since I remember him being in 125s in 2009, I think, or 2010, and 125s obviously was replaced by Moto 3.
He was competitive then, wasn't he?
It British, really. But it. It's the same class in terms of, like, obviously it changed from 2-stroke to 4-stroke, but he's effectively been in the same class for like over 10 years now, and I think he was hoping for an opportunity to step up to Moto 2 this season. Didn't get the opportunity, so stayed with the same team in Moto 3, and he's had a disastrous year so far. But yeah, he's been given an opportunity.
Is this a last chance kind of thing? It's kind
of aren't they not putting a team into Moto 2 and Moto 3 next year? So they're just putting the MotoGP team.
Petronas are pulled out of Moto 2 and Moto 3, yeah. So it's basically because Jake stepped up, there was a sort of gap in the team. I think there was a Malaysian rider that filled in at Silverstone, but obviously it's just all worked that they're giving John an opportunity, but with no testing, jumping on a Moto 2 bike, it's I'll be amazed if he's not last by a considerable amount. If he isn't last, he's doing an exceptional job, basically, because it's to jump on a bike in one of the most competitive series. Like, look at when Tara McKenzie got an opportunity, the same again, jumped in at Jake Dixon. There's been a few people that have had opportunities like that in the past, but I think it's a massive step for him.
It's amazing how much of there's gaps between these disciplines. It's mad. But like Duncan, he was up at Knock Hill, Duncan's a mate of mine, and he was out on an R1 trying to simulate the Moto 2, when you think he's bombing around Moto 3. So McPhee was out on the R1 just trying to get, bigger lap times. You know what I mean? So he was out on the same tyres as on the Dunlops, the Moto 2 test tyres, just trying to get a feel for it. But the mad thing is, you're thinking, the multi-million-pound budgets, you'd think they would have a spare rodeo bike with a stock engine. No.
So Tito Rabat put a stop to that because when Tito was in Moto 2, he was living at Almeria, and he was out on a Moto 2 bike every day through the winter, and then turned up and won the championship. So they put a testing ban in to stop that.
Right.
Because obviously then the richest people would just be able to just hire tracks and test all the time.
I'm not being funny, but you'd think, come on, if you've never been in the class, you'd think there would be a leeway there. You'd think, even for track safety, if you've got someone who's going to be like 10 seconds off the pace.
That actually does sound like us.
That does sound like how they are. You've been getting called off to work. It's dark outside. Jesus, there you go. But it's let's go back to BSB there. I had to get that in straight off the bat on that one.
I'll tell you one person that's really struggling this year is Xavi Flores. Obviously teammates to Peter Hickman. Peter Hickman's currently 5th in the championship.
He's on full mind.
Crushing it,
Xavi came back from World Superbikes. There's a certain expectation on a rider of his caliber, and unfortunately, I don't know what it is. If it's just he's not gelled with the bike, or he's maybe struggling from an injury earlier in the season, but he's really struggling this year. And again with Kyle Ryde, again struggling with an injury, but I think
he was on the bike this weekend, wasn't he? Yeah. So.
I was sort of tipping him for definitely being in the showdown, but possibly I was expecting him to be winning races quite regularly, and unfortunately it just hasn't happened yet for him. But I think he's injured at the moment, but I'm sure he's a class rider.
He's superb, isn't he, to watch? Like his style is super cool to watch around the track.
Yeah. In other classes, we'll start with. I'll just quickly say.
Hopkins there is engaged now. Did you see that?
Yes,
Luke Hopkins, he's engaged. Welcome to the plunge pool, son.
I'll quickly just run through my weekend. I've qualified 11th, and then I finished 6th. So not a particularly good weekend.
You got a stealth hat though.
Yes.
Looks nice. Not green as well, which is nice,
I know, it's nice to see Stealth breaking it up a little bit there. There we go.
Stealth.
Stealth.
But not where we want to be. But sort of.
It was a good fight though. This is all I've heard. It was a good fight.
Yeah. I don't want to say too much right now, but I know exactly where I'm losing from, like watching it and from the data, and it's I don't want to say too much, but I'm pretty confident that we'll get it sorted.
Here's a question: how do I find speed trap times?
Just on TSL.
Yeah. Can you pull up on here the super, the stock 600 class?
Yeah. I'll quickly just say in my class,
Tom
Neves massively sort of grabbing he got a podium at Thruxton, and ever since then he's massively stepped it up, and he's
pulled the pin on it.
He smashed it, didn't he?
Yeah, out of everyone that's people have been kind of winning a race and then coming 10th, he's kind of managed to get to the front, and then the last few races he's properly dominated, so he's made a big step ahead big step ahead in the championship, and he's looking in a very strong position as we're sort of coming towards the end of the season.
Olsen had a couple of crashes, bless him, didn't he?
No, he just went down on someone else's oil. I think Connor Cummins blew up and he just went down on the oil, so he did not crashed of his own accord type of thing, and then unfortunately had a mechanical in the race, but he was second in the championship, I think, or was second in the championship, and mechanically DNF.
It's great to see him doing well after the accident he had as well.
Huge crash.
So how's the championship looking at the moment? Top 3?
So I think Billy McConnell's back up to second. I'll just quickly get the points up. So Tom Neves leading with a 24 gap. Billy McConnell second. Alex Olsen third. Taylor McKenzie fourth. Fraser fifth. Luke Mossey sixth, and myself seventh at the moment.
They are tight points then, mind. That's a proper championship, that, isn't it? Just shows the competitiveness.
So
that's going down to the last round. That is.
Well, the way it's going, Tom's got a very good gap, so we'll just have to see. What were you just about asking about? Stock 600?
Stock 600. Finally, I've been talking about this on the pod for ages. The new Honda 600. Adam McLean was finally out on it.
Oh, was he on the Honda?
He was on Locker. The Locker. He was out on the new Honda. Now, that new Honda, different injector rails, everything. That is a different motorcycle altogether. Adam McLean, he's been in and out of BSB for years, since God was a lad, man. And he's there. He's always strong. But this is the thing I want to find out.
He got a few points as well. He finished 14th, just ahead of our friend Franco Bourne.
That's what I mean. And Franco Bourne is fast, you know what I mean?
I'll just grab the speed trap. So the biggest...
Here comes the Honda sales.
The best, the best speed trap to look at is the finish line, because it's not in a braking zone or anything. So finish line speed trap. So it's...
Bloody hell, born on that 636.
Jenna's the fastest, and Durham, they're both on, do you know Haslam's team, the Affinity Kawasaki thing?
All right.
And then we've got the first, second and third, and McManus, Blumenthal, they've got them bikes going well. The top 4 are all from the same team, which is
quackers, aren't they?
Yeah, unusual to see that.
What's Farah on? Is he on a 636 as well?
No, Farah's on the R6. Who we're looking for again? McLean. Yes, 148.7, 152. So yeah, nothing special. If we look at the others,
that's upsetting.
Were you hoping to see it?
Well, no, you just think new bike,
new though as well,
brand new wing, all this. You're thinking, come on,
it's got wings.
Oh yeah, exactly. A man of taste. There you are. But no, for me, you just think we need a proper game changer. You know what I mean? Just something that just can't.
That I have to be honest. That R6 though, that looks for nuts. That R6, you can buy it in race prep for about 15 grand, can't you?
Really?
Yeah, just straight from the manufacturer.
They're dominating World Supersport at the moment.
I tell you what, when you're talking about it, dominate, Jack Kennedy is absolutely riding the wheels off that 636 in Supersport.
Unbelievable.
Absolutely unbelievable. And speaking of unbelievable, you know what is absolutely great to hear come out my own face? Lee Johnson winning a Supersport race.
Yeah.
The Rhodes lads are doing it. It's just, how long's that been? He's never won a Supersport race. He's won the Stock 600 Championship, and you don't do that by winning a few races.
I think he's won the Super Stock 1000 races as well when he was out on a Ducati, I think. To win a Supersport race, it was a long time coming.
He needs a haircut though. He looks like a right scruff.
For the Ash Cove team, and I think everyone was chuffed a bit. It was one of the most popular wins, and like you said, the championship's proper hotting up. Pee-wee dropped a few points this weekend. He got a few points in qualifying for taking a couple of riders out into the hairpin, and then unfortunately did a similar sort of thing, like tagged the back of someone and sort of sat up, ran wide, and then it was a bit of a sort of mess up really, and he ended up going down in one of the races. So yeah, championship wise, I must say as well, Jack Kennedy was unbelievable. The 636 is clearly not competitive against the Ben Curry 600 and against the Yamahas.
It was interesting to hear what he had to say on the sort of podcast about.
Yeah, Ben Curry actually said on the commentary, and fair play to him, he was saying, "I don't know how Jack's doing what he's doing. I tried that bike and I couldn't ride it." So Jack's clearly riding the best out of the things, but it makes it good because I think, in all fairness, I think Jack's the best rider, but not on the best bike. So it's good to watch. And in terms of the championship, Ben Curry's been sneaking up, and I think he's either maybe not quite taking the lead, but he's a couple of points behind. Also, Carl Smith had a strong ride. Brandon Pash was doing well on the Triumph, but crashed and broke his scaphoid, so I think he's going to be out. And you never guess who's going to be replacing him at Silverstone? Michael Dunlop.
Really?
So Michael Dunlop's going to be riding the Triumph at Silverstone.
When did that come out? Or was that fresh Chase of the Race of rumour mill?
No, that's not rumour mill, it's a fact. It's
bollocks. I'm thinking, we haven't had a good rumour mill.
He was on the phone to him outside.
Yeah. Championship wise, Jack Kennedy's leading by 7 points on the 636. Ben Curry's second on the 600. Like I said, 7 points behind, and then 33 points behind to Peary. And then it goes back to Kyle Smith, Lee Johnson, Harry Truelove. Harry unfortunately had a tough weekend.
And crashes. Can we keep going? I've only done one round, but am I still there? I'm still there, not at the bottom.
Here we go.
I'm not at the bottom.
How far do you have to scroll down then?
Yeah, not too far. 4 points.
I'm over the moon. At one point in this show, I was actually the leading point scorer in BSB.
Yeah, two races as well. 3.
I'd take that. Yeah.
I'm a point scorer in Hair Gel Banker country. I'm over the moon.
3 points in the first race and 1 point in the second. So
consistency is going to be key in that championship, isn't it? You can't.
They're lucky I'm not in it,
mistakes
mate. They're lucky I'm not in it.
So, but yeah, I tell you what, great race, and really enjoyed it. And it did. Just quickly, I'll run through the top 3 in the junior stock 600. Jack Nixon was back to winning ways after he crashed at Cadwell and had a few races, but he's back, and he won ahead of Joe Talbot and Max Cook. Joe Talbot's having a fantastic season. I think he's only 17-year-old, and doing a tremendous job. Really, really impressive.
I tell you who's there's a good Northeast name to see at the top there. In the top 8, Charlie Farrer.
Yeah, he's doing
that's come out. Wait, not Norway. The lad can ride a bike, but it's nice to see the name up there.
Yeah, doing a great job. And Eugene McManus there, Zach Corduroy, Max Cooks. I think he did have a podium earlier in the season, but he's running under the FS3 banner. But yeah, all good lads. In the sidecar,
I was about to say, I know who won that. Birchill's. They have been mopping up everywhere.
Have they?
Let's click it up. Let's bring it up.
Race 1 result. So yeah, Birchill's won by 23 seconds.
23 seconds, man. And they're on a Honda engine as well, so it's not the fastest, compared to the NCR6s and stuff. F1 chassis, they're doing an awesome job.
Oh, they got a close run in the second one with Ellis and Clement. Only 2.9 seconds for that one, so they gave them a good race. And before we go, just quickly, Ducati Cup.
That was the one where the finish line, with a photo finish, you couldn't even tell, could you?
Unbelievable, yeah.
0.004. In
the first one, Josh Day and Elliot Pinson.
It's a great lineup in that cup now.
Whatever happened to a good old dead eat? That is.
It was as good as, wasn't it? Josh Day won the first one ahead of Elliot Pinson, and Chris Walker third, John McGuinness fourth, and
is that a good fight? McGuinness and Stalker Walker having a fight. That's always good.
It's great to see them both on the podium, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Was it Kyle Ride's comment going? It was nice to see these two win the sidecar race or something like that.
In the second one, 0.004 of a second, Josh Day again ahead of Elliot Pinson, and David Shoebridge on the Rich Energy Ducati third, Craig Neave fourth.
Max Lofthouse.
I think it's a really good cup, actually, the Ducati Tri-Options. It's a really good racing in that.
It's good affordable way to get into the BSB, and it's got it's really cool to see the likes of McGuinness and Walker there as well.
Pretty big gap between front and back in it, but it's some great racing.
Yeah, you've kind of, in all fairness, you've usually got Josh Day and Elliot Pinson, and then
they're doing stock 1,000 as well, aren't they?
David Shoebridge on his day can give them a good run for his money. Craig Neave again on his day can can give them a good run for the money. But then there's a bit of a gap, and then you've got the likes of Walker and McGuinness, and it's a great series. It sort of caters for everybody. And yeah, we could go through all the classes, but I think that'll do for now.
I was about to say, and I'll tell you what, I think your rant, your fantastic rant, because it was great to see that other side of it about penalties, my man.
Timed well, wasn't it?
It was beautifully timed well. Would you like to inform us?
Yeah, so you touched on it earlier. World Superbikes was...
Speaking of touching.
Has been, very sort of controversial this weekend. I bet all of the news outlets are rubbing their hands, because usually they put a post on and it gets a couple of comments. Every single one I've seen's got hundreds and hundreds of comments and thousands of likes.
I did think about bringing a tub of green paint and just sitting it here, just to set you off.
And it's
every now and again, just pull it from under the table. But
the thing is, do you know what? It couldn't
Next
have been.
time we have you on, you better.
It couldn't have been timed any better, because this whole thing is all stems from the stupid idea of having the green paint where they had it. Should never have been there. It's a absolutely ridiculous situation. For people that haven't seen it, so they were racing at Magny Court. There's a fast left-hand kink, and they've got the white line. They would usually have the white line in grass, but for some reason they've put green paint on the other side of the white line, and that forces the organisers to if somebody goes on it, it forces the organisers to have to then give a penalty, and it sort of spoilt the race, really. Top Rack did an unbelievable job this weekend. He won all 3 races.
It's a really nice colour though, isn't it?
Yeah, he was. Top Rack was then demoted after I think the Kawasaki. So when they came into the pits, and this is where all the controversies come from. I think Jonathan Ray called Paribas over and explained. I presume that's how it happened, or Kawasaki must have seen on board, made a complaint, and obviously the organisers have got to follow that through, because strictly by the letter of the law, if you go on the green paint, it's off track limits, and therefore, to be consistent with the other penalties that they've given, they have to then, there's no nuance, it's got to be one or the other, which is the whole point of why it shouldn't be there in the first place. Jonathan's had a huge backlash, Jonathan and Kawasaki, on social media. Everything I've seen, hundreds of comments sort of slating them. It's not his fault at the end of the day. It's the green paint shouldn't be there. But yeah, it's been a huge sort of media stir. Yamaha have then replied. Paul Dennon's sort of said, well, if that's how Kawasaki want to play it, sort of gloves off type of attitude. I mean, it's great for to be fair, it's great for the
entertainment sport, isn't it?
It's great for getting the buzz up, because for next race, everyone's desperate to see Top Rack and Jonathan going head to head, because there's a bit of animosity about it. But if you watch the actual clip, you're talking about millimeters.
You can see it from both sides, can't you? Because there's, you're talking about a multi-million-pound industry, aren't you? Where points is money. That's what it is at the end of the day. You finish top of the championship, you're going to get more money in from sponsorship, and if it comes down to 2 points at the end of the season, that was the right call for Kawasaki.
Oh, completely.
Aye.
Well, imagine if...
So I can understand why they've done it, but again, I think these decisions probably need to be a bit more pragmatic, and on a...
Did he give an inch, give a mile? That's the thing,
isn't it? The thing is, if for
did
example...
Did he gain anything from it, really, from that bit?
Well, for example, if the organisers had said that and said, did he really gain anything? We're not going to give a penalty.
Everyone be over that spot.
I know.
That then opens up an even bigger can of worms, because then, do people use it and that, he might have gained something, but not enough for the win, so we'll let him off. And it's the same. Like, I'm pleased. I'm really pleased British Superbikes doesn't. They're not as.
I've come up with a solution.
Go on then.
Blue paint.
This is perfect. Remember the game Operation? It took a paramedic to figure this out. Remember when you fucked up and you hit. Basically, the rider. No, the rider. The rider gets electrocuted if they cross the green like that. They immediately shut the throttle because the season.
I'm pretty sure they wouldn't get any points when they're
along.
No,
but like an immediate. Imagine the entertainment value on that from an onboard like that. Green paint, green.
It'd be like Road Rash, wouldn't it, with a cattle prod?
That's exactly. The butt.
what I was going to say is I'm pleased.
You're welcome, Dora.
You're
welcome.
Stuart Higgs and his team use a bit more common sense when it comes to it. There's green.
There's no
such
thing
me
as common sense.
To me, I don't think the green paint should be there in the first place. But like I say, it's Snetterton where we've been at the weekend. Going onto the back straight, there's a bit of green paint. If you watch, it gets used all the time. But is it any safer having that there? Because then people just use that, and there is still a grass boundary at the end of the day. But yeah, I think, and also the other thing is, I'm sure if you watch every lap of every race in World Superbikes, there'll be other laps, other people touch that green paint, and then what do they give out, like 10 penalties to try it? Yeah, it just gets a bit ridiculous. Just get rid of the green paint, and people will be sick of me ranting about it.
I got that from the last podcast as well.
I think you should have said a bit more about it myself, but there you go.
But yeah, aside from that, it was mainly Toprak and Jonathan that were the cream this weekend. Redden was still strong. I'll just get the results up. So
he got a podium, didn't he?
Yeah, he's still in the fight.
He's still engaged.
I believe so. So French round, we've got race 1, Toprak won, Jonathan second, and Locatelli was third. In the Superpole race, Toprak did win it, but then the result got sort of switched over. So Jonathan got the win, Toprak second, and Alex Lowe's third. And in the race 2, Toprak's first, Jonathan second, and Scott Redden.
What's Locatelli on?
Back on the podium. Locatelli's on a Yamaha, and he's a rookie stepping up from Supersport. He's been the sort of hot property sort of coming into World Superbikes this year. Really impressive what he's doing, to be honest. He's fourth in the championship. He's doing a tremendous job.
So where's the top BMW?
Top BMW at the moment is Tom Sykes in 7th, a fair bit off. But it goes Locatelli, Alex Lowe's, Ruben Rinaldi, Tom Sykes and Michael van der Mark are together, quite close in points actually, 7th and 8th at the moment.
It's going to be interesting next year, that then,
and also the Hondas are HRC's really struggling. Bear in mind, it's a proper Honda factory effort. Bautista is 10th at the moment, and Leon Haslam is 13th. There's obviously Bautista going back to Ducati. That leaves a space at Honda.
Is he going back to Ducati?
Did you not know that?
I'm learning all the time on this show.
Haslam back to BSB as well.
Chrissy, you actually look so shocked. You're fully aware that we're back to old school chasing the race where I know nothing.
I'm shocked because I'm pretty sure we've talked about it on this show. But yeah, he's back to.
Evidently not.
Well, yeah, we did, because that's when we were talking about Redden going to. I
remember that bit. You must have bored me. So after that.
Tom Sykes. It's between Tom Sykes and who's the other person in the line for the Honda? Chaz Davies. Between them two, who fills the thing in. Leon Camier's the team boss at Honda, and he's sort of best mates with Chaz. So that might work, or you might not want to. I'm not sure if you'd want sort of friend team manager, but either way. And speaking of Haslam, I think his contract finishes this year, but will it get renewed with Honda? I presume he would like to stay there in World Superbikes, but if he doesn't get kept on, I presume he'll be back to BSB. Difficult to say at this moment. But yeah, in terms of the championship, so Toprak's leading now, 370 ahead of Jonathan Ray on 363, and then Scott Redden's back on 298. So it really is Jonathan and Toprak that are fighting for the championship. It is obviously possible for Redden to catch up, but there is a bit of a gap there. And yeah, I think it's all, to me, although the whole, it's a bit of a mess this weekend with the whole penalties and stuff. It's sort of good for the tension and like sort of build, because now everyone, it's causing a bit of a media stir, isn't it? A bit more interest for the next round. And I think it doesn't matter whose team you're on, more people being interested is sort of better for the sport, isn't it?
100%. So what's next lined up? I was about to say, roads wise, Cookstown's next. I think that's the final road race of the year as far as Cookstown. So that'll be out when that's this coming weekend. Anyway, so we're time traveling yet again. So we'll update that on the next podcast. But you're off to
Silverstone. And again, once this podcast's gone out, that'll be all
and you're
news.
back working?
Always
working. Good lad. Good lad.
In terms of World Super, I didn't realise there was this many rounds left of World Superbikes, but there's the Catalonia round at the mid-September, and then a week later you've got the Spanish round, which I'm trying to work out what track that is. It doesn't actually say what track. And then the Portuguese round the week after, and then Argentinian, and then it finishes in Indonesia in November. That's a late, isn't it?
I've heard on the rumour mill, it's been cancelled, Macau.
Right.
As far as the motorcycle
Really?
event, yeah, I think the car event's going, but it's because of COVID restrictions and stuff like that. So no doubt
bit of a
that'll get
shame,
released.
isn't
I'm gutted to. That is an event. That is a hell of an event. But never say never. Hopefully we get back the following one. But there we go. So what else we got? What else we got left? I think nothing.
Yeah, I think that.
I think we're good.
Patreon questions.
Yes, you nicked all them. So there.
Yeah, I haven't nicked a few of them to be fair. Let's have a look. So,
Sugar Cube's been winning all his races. So, yeah, well done, Sugar Cube.
Excellent. So
Are you thinking who Sugar Cube is?
No,
I
did put you down as Doctor, and so a few of the questions might be directed to Dr. Jamie.
Oh, right.
So we've got
Such an insult.
so we've got Jesse Mortimer. Now this is a cool guest and a brilliant angle to view the racing from. No question from me this week, just a shout to say great work as always, keeps me sane while I'm walking the dogs, so thank you. Great. Tony Rolls, firstly thank you for doing what you do, a fantastic job in very difficult circumstances. What kind of impact, excuse the pun, has airbag suits had on the kind of injuries you see on the track? Have you noticed a difference in airbag?
Yeah. Thanks, Tony. That's appreciated. Yeah, the suits definitely. The thing is, like they start to deflate quite. Like, although they start to deflate instantly, it takes a bit of time for the air to get out. So although it protects, your neck from, the sort of lateral and the flexion, it makes it a little bit difficult to sort of actually get to your patient who's a bit sort of who, particularly the ones that are seriously unwell, but actually from a safety point of view, they seem to be doing the job,
Yeah.
So even though it makes it a little bit more difficult to access, actually a lot of the time the injuries aren't there now, which is great, which is brilliant. From crashing now, really, you get the odd ones where you land a bit funny and you maybe fall back on your arm and do your wrist or your collarbone or something like that.
Yeah.
But actually, injuries now are there. We class them as relatively minor. It's only when the bikes tend to bite back a little bit when we tend to get the really nasty ones. The technology now is just unbelievable. The helmet technology to the little removable cheek pads and just makes everything so much easier to do now.
I've over the years I've donated my helmet a few times for training purposes. Do you still require helmets?
We still use them. We do training with them at the air ambulance. We do our trackside with the marshals. We'll take helmets out to the corner posts and do a bit of training with the marshals so they know what to expect and what to do. Because obviously, as one medic, you can't do everything.
So
is that worth a shout out there?
If anyone has a sort of an unused or crashed helmet that you don't want, and it's really, rather than just throwing it away, it's a really good.
Preferably the sort of more modern ones that have got the more modern technology. They're the kind of, we've got loads of the old sort of ones but actually they're almost a little bit irrelevant now because the technology's so dated. You guys aren't wearing them, which means actually that they don't really help us now, because now we can pull cheek pads out, pull the chin guards off.
To put that politely, none of the crap ones, but only
none of the crap ones, just the expensive ones. Yeah.
So if your helmet's
not crash damaged, you're a size medium with a 56 to 58 centimetre.
So if you've got a helmet with a skid mark, give you a call.
I've got Mike Orton.
Not if you've got leathers with one though.
Mike Orton, what a brilliant guest. This was the Special K one. We're calling the Special K podcast. What's the hardest thing he's heard after an accident, which we've already asked. Over the years, riding kit has improved immensely. Is there any particular piece of equipment which has made the biggest difference? And conversely, does fabric like Kevlar make the job more difficult even though it offers excellent protection qualities? This post has made me think about the inspirational Doc John and Ali Mack. So we've got... you've obviously mentioned about the airbags suits being great. I didn't really get the Kevlar question. Did you understand that?
Well, I mean, Kevlar is awesome, isn't it? It's sort of like, I presume he's sort of on about the type of jeans and stuff like that you can get now. And I mean, they certainly don't make it difficult. You can cut through the Kevlar still, no problem. Like, there's usually built into all these bits of kit now. There's bits, if you go down the seam, you can, it certainly doesn't make it difficult. We're all pretty experienced in getting people's kit off, because that's what you need to do. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
Have you got them Leatherman shears? I've got to carry a set of them at work.
Yeah,
I have like
quality them.
I get like I can get a pair of chainsaw boots off with them.
Yeah,
done it at work.
Yeah,
and like chainsaw pants and like wearing duvets, chainsaw pants, and you just got to go through it.
Leatherman donated a few pairs to the charity for us.
Right.
But they're absolutely super.
Mate,
they're about £100 to buy.
Oh, they're serious, but I keep them work. Then go for, like, I saw someone cut through a motocross boot with them, and I'm having them for work because like crush injuries at work, it's frequent.
We use them for at work. We use them for like open heart surgery as well. So you use them to cut through the muscle tissue between the ribs to open.
Now there's a shout out for Leatherman right there.
Yeah, they're a really good bit of kit.
Have you open heart surgery on the?
Oh yeah, we did not a track. No, God, no.
Don't worry.
I only do it as part of my sort of job with the air ambulance with the doc, and
wow.
As much as I give the docs grief, they're
unbelievable.
They know their stuff, like, and they're all really.
Mike's he said part two. As I understand it, ambulances are run on a charitable basis. Is this just to cover the cost of the helicopter, or does it have to fund the pilot, navigator, doctor, equipment, etc.?
It funds everything.
Personally, it's beyond me that it's not public funded. It's a tremendous asset which saves countless lives. Do you know, like, say, just the Great North Air Ambulance? He said 5.2 million to run the 2 helicopters. Roughly, how many lives do you think are saved a year?
It's very difficult to quantify that, really.
Yeah.
We go to about 1,100 cases a year, and that's over the both aircraft and the car on the night shift. Probably a little bit more now, actually, because of the cars on most nights.
How come that's not publicly funded?
The reason isn't because if you said to the NHS and the government you're going to spend 5.2 million on 1,000 people, that's not good numbers. The problem if we were funded by that, NHS is already on a tight budget.
Yes,
they are overworked, and it's over the past massive shout out to all the people working in hospital over the last 2 years. It doesn't bear thinking about. They've been massively overworked to deal with some incredibly emotive and difficult times while the pandemic's been going on. If we were to say to the government, we need 5.2 million just for our air ambulance, then this for that air ambulance and that for that, and you would only, it's a lot of money, and NHS are forever cutting funding for different bits and pieces. We operating as a charity, we can actually offer a better service than we would if we were NHS funded, because every bit of money we get goes to optimising care. It's we are always innovating and changing our practice on current evidence. If you want to change something in the NHS, it's a massive machine.
Risk assess it.
It's a huge machine. But if new evidence comes out to say that this is the best care, this is now the way we should be doing something, a week later, that's what we'll be doing once we've trained our staff up to do it. So don't get us wrong, it has its negatives and its positives, because obviously you haven't got that guaranteed funding.
Sure.
But the fundraising team we've got at GNAAS at the Great North Air Ambulance is just
unreal,
sensational. Like, and you meet so many good humans. Like, it's just what people do so that I can fly around in a helicopter and help people is just blows your mind. Like, the generosity of people is phenomenal, and particularly, I can only sort of account for people in the northeast and northwest, but they're just so generous with what they have.
I tell you what, you're doing well for the questions on here, because usually we get a couple. I think Dean broke the record with 10, and I think you were on 9, so you're doing well. Daniel,
damn it, someone do it.
First up, massive thank you to Jamie, not just for what you do at the racing, but also for the ambulance service. You guys truly are heroes. One of my daughters wants to be a paramedic. She's starting her uniform public service at college in a few weeks, then going on to uni for paramedic science. Could I ask for any advice you might have that I could pass on to her? Once again, thank you.
Absolutely, and good luck. There's a couple of bits of advice I would sort of give is never be afraid to put yourself out of your comfort zone. It's the way you learn. It's the way you sort of grow as a clinician and as a human. I think you need to have the right attitude to be able to say I don't know, or to be able to say I got that wrong, and then learn from it, move forward, share that learning with everyone else, because it doesn't just bring you on, it brings everyone else on. So just go in with a positive sort of attitude to and an open-minded sort of attitude to sort of develop yourself, develop the people around you, and be ready to push yourself.
Fantastic. Great, really good question, this one. Alex Hunt, some excellent questions above already, and I have huge respect for professionals like Jamie. Is there anything Jamie would change in BSB rules, or club racing in general, to make it safer for the racers?
Keep the green paint.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, paint the track in green tarmac. That's what I would do. Yeah. If you're straight off the green tarmac, then you get penalised.
A metre wide track. That's it. Off you go.
I don't know. I think part of the fascination of motorsport and motorbike racing is the fact that it's dangerous, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, in a world of red tape and health and safety, it's something that we can all get behind, like that last sort of resort of danger and
freedom
it's
a relatively controlled,
it's controlled
platform.
Risk, isn't it?
Platform to exercise freedom.
I wouldn't, there's nothing I would sort of change from a safety aspect. I think, things like the air fencing have saved like countless severe life-changing injuries. I mean, you look at that crash at Cadwell that Taron McKenzie had. Mm-hmm. Holy shit, that was fast.
That was fast.
And I mean, he had that. He went into that air fence, and you think if he'd gone into the barrier at that speed, like, whoosh.
One thing for me, I think's been a great addition to a lot of the circuits is as well as the flags, the lights. So much easier. As soon as there's a red flag or yellow flag, if bright yellow or red lights, I think that's been great. Safety feature.
I think another thing with regards to safety in the British Superbikes is like the marshalling team at the British Superbikes are just unbelievable. Like all weathers, like just out there. Doesn't matter what day it is, what time of year it is, they will be there on every corner just to sort of help and be part of it. And like as a medic on a corner, you're heavily reliant on your marshals on that corner as well. Mm-hmm. So we do a bit of training with them, but people may just think they're there to sort of pick up bikes, and that is just not the case. Like what they offer from a safety aspect to the riders is just phenomenal. I mean, remember there was an accident at Brooklands with I think it might have been Cal Crutchlow that went down a few years ago.
Was it?
And Marquez came piling in straight after, having your marshal sort of spotter there to tell you that, like, get out the way. Like, do you know what I mean? They offer so much more than just picking up bikes and stuff.
They're putting themselves at risk to allow us to do what we love.
But the safety aspect of them, you need marshals.
Yeah. No marshals, no racing.
Oh man, they're an unbelievable bunch of people. Like from all walks of life, you get some mega interesting stories you've got at the British Superbike paddock, you've got people who are, binmen to professors at universities, and you've got all walks of life just with one common sort of goal, it's awesome.
And great people. Andy Wellborn, following on from the brilliant work in the CRMC paddock last week at Castle Combe, which potentially saved the life of Andy Pike, and as bikers who may be the first on the scene of an RTC, what training advice would Jamie recommend to others?
You get on the internet now. There's there's courses specifically for bikers first on scene and stuff like that. Google it. There's some great courses out there. Not just for bikers, but for anyone. There's those sort of first on scene at road traffic accidents, and there's bike specific ones. Durham Police are quite heavily involved in sort of with Bikewise and sort of run stuff like that. But yeah, there's loads of good courses out there for first on scene for bikers, because I don't know whether you have been involved, but I've been involved in a few accidents on the road on motorbikes, and like your first thought is like, first of all, am I all right, or is your mate all right? Because that's a horrible feeling, someone else going down, that and I just think you need it's something I would recommend everyone does that rides motorbikes, because that feeling is just it's horrible, heart-wrenching if you watch your mate crash and you don't know what you're doing, or
You maybe wish that you'd
Yeah,
invested. It might be 20 minutes
Yeah.
of your time, but like
Yeah, even if it costs a couple £100, I don't know how much it costs, but if it's worth having that knowledge,
I know
isn't
it's
it?
a very serious subject that we're talking about, and it's probably not the right time for a joke. But The Office, the training scene when they're doing the heart thing, and it's to staying alive, and then the Gareth comes over and he goes over and he's reenact what's it called, the CPR, and he says, remember, sing it to Staying Alive. So he goes over and goes to the top and he goes, you can tell by the way he's not singing the chorus. And, it's brilliant. It is really funny.
Is that Vinnie Jones advert as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah. Last question.
Guy in the background with a boombox. Go.
So Mark O'Neill said one awesome guest, and really looking forward to hearing this one comes out, and some great questions from the post above. Kathy Jones Parry, first I'd like to send a big thank you to him for his service both in his day job and at the track. From his experience at RTCs and trackside, does he feel that there's any room for improvement for rider safety, be it a track infrastructure, rules, or general kit to protect riders? I think we've covered quite a bit of it. Do you think, like, for example, airbags should be mandatory for I
think it's fantastic that sort of for the super bikes and stuff, chest protectors. I can't believe people ride without chest protectors on track days and stuff. I think they should be mandatory. They're awesome, them things. They do generally save significant injuries.
Really?
Right.
I think definitely. I mean, I don't know a lot about the numbers with regards to the airbag sort of leathers, to be honest. They do seem to make a difference. I certainly understand the principles of them, but definitely sort of back protectors, chest protectors should be mandatory in all. If you're on track on a bike, you should be wearing them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, with regards to rules, like I said before, I wouldn't really change a lot of the rules. I think MSVR have kind of got it pretty nailed on regarding safety.
Yeah, we were talking about this. I can't remember what episode it was, but the Leat neck braces.
Yeah, they use them for like motocross and mountain biking, don't they?
Yeah. So have you come across anyone on the short circuit side?
No. They do them for road racing, but they're just not very common. Yeah. I once tried one and I didn't really like.
Again, that's to sort of stop that hyperextension of your neck, isn't it? Mm-hmm. So it's that sort of whiplash almost.
Right, because in motocross, it's actually caused a lot of collarbone issues, hasn't it? Because it's like that the actual impact of the plastic crunching
but
down
you're
on
not paralysed, are you?
There's that, exactly. So... No, I couldn't agree more. Like, the biggest problem is, it's like any good bit of equipment, it's expensive, but like a Leat neck brace is like £200-300.
Yeah.
But like you say, paralysation, £300.
It's essential.
Let me have a think.
It's almost an essential bit of kit for off-roading, and as soon as I did a bit of off-roading, I bought it. They were quite expensive, but I think they're well worth it.
The knee braces,
the proper knee braces, but they're like a mechanical sort of leg on the outside. And again, just for the sake of, I can't remember what they were, like say £300-400. Very expensive bit of kit, but you kind of put a price on your legs, can you?
No.
No, I'm thinking about trying one of those Leat neck braces for the short circuits.
Oh, really?
I just want to give one a go.
Speak to James Egan. I think the RST who Motor Direct who sponsor us. They're the UK importers for the.
That's handy, isn't it?
Speak to them.
All right, there we go. Then I know who I'm ringing tomorrow.
Free one in the post.
Halfway.
Also, the company that's just taken over are also UK importers for Oakley sunglasses. So if you do any more BSB rounds, you can get yourself some sunglasses half price. But all good. And
I think from a road safety point of view, I think kit's great, but I think having the knowledge and to know what to do if someone else crashes, I think that's probably the biggest thing to invest in.
There we are. Knowledge is power.
Well, there's nothing else that springs to mind. I know you mentioned right at the beginning about you work for a company doing off-road trips. Do you want to give them a little plug?
I do a bit of work for a guy called Dave Lee, who's a paramedic also. He runs a company called Ramsad Ventures. So if you Google ramsadventures.co.uk, they do trips to sort of Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, anything from sort of a week to sort of 15 days, where you pay a fee, your accommodation, your food, the bike is all included. And it's fully supported. You have a full, I work for them as a medic, so I go out and ride with the group. So you've got either a qualified paramedic with remote sort of medicine experience, or a doctor with you. And it's just it's a really well drilled, well oiled, organised company to go explore parts of the world that you wouldn't normally get to do. So they do other trips around sort of Ireland as well. They also do trips in sort of Africa and in Nepal as well. But
it
it's
gives
really
you the confidence to push on, knowing that if it does go wrong, you've got the medical.
I'm going for that jump.
But speaking, I'm deadly serious as well. When you at the beginning of the podcast, when you said you sort of, by doing what you do, you give us riders the confidence to sort of
that's the hope.
Push on, knowing that we've got the best world class medics, medic
like the team
facilities at like right trackside, and I'm very aware of that. As a starter race, you see there's the helicopter there. You've got top class. I've used it obviously a fair few times myself, the medic centre, and it does. It's a massive thing that British Superbikes has got. I know Higgs, who runs the championships, very sort of safety conscious, and anything in terms of like that, it's always urges on the side of caution, which is great for everyone involved really. And it's something different, like for example when we'll go testing in Spain, it like sort of, well, to me, when it comes to like sort of that last couple of tenths where you're pushing on, but you look at the med centre and you think, nah, I don't want to end up there. I think there's a difference.
Yeah, I think the team that's there. I mean, the physios as well. You've used them a few times with your shoulder and stuff. Like a lot of I don't think a lot of people take up that option, as the physio team that are there are like world class. One of the physios there has got a Rugby World Cup medal, you know what I mean? She was part of the England Women's Rugby World Cup team as a physio.
Amanda?
Yeah, Amanda. She's lush, Amanda. She's ace. Really, really knowledgeable. You've got Rich, who's been there a long time. Really, really clever guy. Former sort of cyclist. He's
the other physios are listening now, thinking, "Come on, mention me."
Yeah, I know.
You've dug a hole for yourself.
Oh God, yeah. Right. Griff's really good. But we've got it's a really good part that you don't get in any of the medical team, do you?
No,
you get actual, if you've got a niggle, before a race, what they're trying to do is prevent that accident from happening. Go see them.
Most people don't.
They're awesome.
Most people at BSB maybe don't realise, but that's actually a free service. If you're at BSB and you want any sort of help, if you've got like a niggle or anything, go up, and they're lovely people, and they'll do a good job for you. But I think that wraps everything up. Thank you so much for spending your evening over here.
Oh, thanks for having us. It's been great.
I know you don't have a great deal of time, and really enjoyed sort of hearing. It's a different side of the sport that we're over 120 episodes in and we've not had this angle of the sport. So really grateful for your time.
You got any social media links? Because there'll be people listening to this wanting to follow you now. So.
Walshy Hems is one on Instagram. That's the one I'm trying to use.
Give him a look. There you go. Everyone will be in accents going, please give me him. Please give me him.
To be fair, it's usually pictures of some form of push bike. So only if you're interested in that.
You're a bit of an adrenaline junkie. But a huge thank you to our sponsors, Colchester Kawasaki, to all of our patrons. And I will just mention, we've just set up an extra YouTube channel. So our normal YouTube channel is just Motorbike Pod, Chasin Racing. But we've just set up a new YouTube channel called CTR Clips, which is just like from each podcast, we'll put like a small, like a couple of minutes clips of what we sort of deem as the most sort of interesting parts.
So we're going to struggle with this one.
If you don't get a chance to watch the full podcast, you can just watch little clips. So would really be, well, if you're interested in that, head over to CTR Clips and subscribe so you don't miss the videos. But big thanks to everyone, and we'll be back next week. And thanks again for your time. Take care.
Oh, thanks very much.
Take care, son.
Click, buy, deliver. With remote purchasing from the 2-time Motorcycle News Dealer of the Year, Colchester Kawasaki. Proud sponsors of Chasin the Racing.